Unless it's mad, passionate, extraordinary love, it's a waste of time. There are too many mediocre things in life, and love should not be one of them. Hello, everybody. This is LaRonda, and I am back with another video. And today I want to talk about settling. In my past life, I have settled so many times. Maybe someone, like I had an idea that's, let's start with my ex-husband. Let's start with him first. Um, I knew on the day or the night before I married him, I knew I shouldn't have married him. I knew it immediately, like that night. I mean, there were so many things about him that were just wrong. We were completely opposite people. We didn't have a whole lot in common. We had two separate cultures, two different languages. So there were a lot of like obstacles to the relationship from the beginning. But I thought, if I learned Spanish and really worked hard, to be a good person and give him the things that I thought a wife should give a husband, whatever, that things would work out. But when I look back on it, it was doomed from the start. We were just completely wrong for each other. I remember this one time we were together sitting in a park in Higüey, Dominican Republic, where he's from. We were sitting there talking, and I remember looking across the way at another couple that looked like they were so in love and so happy to be together and just so enjoying each other's company and laughing, talking, having a nice time together. And I remember being with my husband and wishing that that was what we were doing, that we were having that same type of interaction, that our connection looked that strong, or that it was that strong as how those people's connection looked, is what I'm trying to say. And I remember kind of longing for that, and always like when I see other couples together, those couples that you kind of see and you can tell that they really love each other. And I'm not talking about necessarily the ones that are brand new, because we know anytime that love could fade and fizzle, like that whole beginning attraction can fizzle out pretty quickly. But I'm talking about those couples that have been together for years and still look at each other like it's the first day that they were together, or that they still look at each other despite whatever issues they may have or difficulties they have in their relationship. They still look at each other and talk about each other like they are the best people that they ever met. And I look at couples like Barack Obama and Michelle, like, for me, that is a couple that, sometimes you see pictures of them and, they're gazing at each other and they look like they have fun together, even though, they had the weight of the world on their shoulders, being the president and first lady and got kids and all. I mean, I know how it is to struggle when you have kids and you just a regular person. But like, you add having kids, being the president of the United States and the first lady, going through all that stuff, being public figures and, all the weight that that would put on a marriage, and still being able to come out looking like this is your best friend and the best person that could have ever been put on this earth to be with you. I think that's a beautiful thing. That's just one of the couples that comes to mind. And I look at my own life and what I wanted and the relationships that I've had in the past. And I'm like, I don't want to settle anymore for somebody who's just good on paper. And maybe we could work something out if over time, or things could get good down the line or whatever. Or, I remember thinking with my ex-husband that, this would eventually, maybe once he got to the States, he would kind of settle down and life would be a little bit different for us, excuse me. And, he would become more of a husband if he didn't have all the distractions of whatever his life was in the Dominican Republic. And it didn't work out, you know? And so when I think about that quote and, the saying of if it's not mad, passionate love, I don't want to I don't want to waste my time with it. If somebody doesn't look at me and make me feel like I'm the greatest thing that ever happened to them, I don't know that it's not for me. I've had mediocre love. I've had people who felt like it was just meh, like they could take me or leave me. I've had people that felt like I was good for now, but didn't necessarily feel like I was anything long term. Or I've had people that seem like they weren't that into me, or that if they were apart from me, they didn't have to necessarily connect with me like that. Like, they had so many other important things to do, and I was kind of like the last thing on the list. I've had all that before. It never made me feel good. It never did. And so now at 39, almost 40 years old, I'm like, okay, I'm getting pretty up there in age. Like, I'm not as stressed out now about having babies. I've kind of feel like at this point that ship has sailed. My son is already almost 10. So for me, like at this point, starting over would just be like kind of insane. And so it's like, okay, I don't have that to worry about. So, like, I guess now I can just sit back and wait for that person to come along that feels that about me, that looks at me in that way, that sees me as somebody who could be a wonderful life partner and companion and friend. Someone that can be your best friend and confidant, and somebody that can help you through life, to encourage you and love you despite your faults and all that. And somebody who feels that way about me as well, and that looks at me the same way with those same loving eyes and feels that protective nature over me. Like they would never let anything hurt me, or make sure I was good at all times and all that. That's the kind of love that I want. And I guess, at this point, I'm willing to be single for as long as it takes to get that. And I know that now I have to not be afraid to be alone until I find that. I've gotten into relationships with the wrong people in the past, out of fear of being alone, wanting to try because maybe that was going to be my last opportunity, despite like the craziness of that and there being billions of people in the world, any of which could be perfect for me. So it's taken time. It takes time to get myself out of that lack mentality of like, okay, well, I got to try this. I got to do the best I can with this thing that's not really that great, but let me try it and see if it doesn't get better in the future. I got to stop with that mentality and really center myself on the fact that there are people out here that are compatible with people like me. There's people out here that want someone just like me, and I have to hold on until I can find them. I cannot accept mediocre or someone who feels meh about me because I don't want to be alone. That's just, I can't do that. I just can't, and I won't. So anyway, I thought that was a beautiful quote, and it's something to live by. And yes, I'm going to have to remind myself about it all the time, because every time someone comes along, maybe in the future, that maybe doesn't feel like they feel that passion for me, there may be that temptation to like say, okay, well, you know what? Let me just settle for this, or let me see if this relationship could work. And you want to give everybody a chance up front, but like if time goes on and it doesn't get to the point where it feels passionate for me, then it's not going to be for me. Like I will be willing to give everybody a chance and see how it goes. But like if that passion doesn't show up, It's not going to be for me. So thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope you have a good week. And I'll see you in the next video. Thanks, everybody. Happy dating. Don't settle. Talking to you. No settling. Bye.